You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nub. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead bunch or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on the court from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still life of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green exits, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooligan Churches will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Key, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with coke. The revolution will not fight germs that can cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
Yo! Welcome to yet another episode of ADQ's Renaissance. I'm your host with the most, keeping it 100 from coast to coast. You got our host, ADQ. It is Sunday, May 23rd, 2021. Is it me or is it starting to feel like it's June? It's crazy. It's like when it's in the wintertime, the warmer days slowly come. But when it's in the springtime, you know it's nice. The spring is 70-something degrees and stuff. Along come the heat. It's like the weather goes from one extreme to another. That is why I am over here sweating. I am glistening, but not in a good way. But anyway, what's cracking, my people? Those of you who are coming in, those of you who will be coming in, first of all, head over to my YouTube channel and hit the subscribe buttons. Please subscribe. I'm trying to monetize off of you all. Please hit the subscribe button. And also, since it's Sunday, which I should do this every day, but since it's Sunday, and since it's about to get like a little revolutionary up in this piece, which is always revolutionary up in this piece, but it's about to be a little revolutionary with steroids on it because of who my guest is, and I will reveal who my guest is in just a minute. First of all, shout out to my man Dominique Hand. Shout out to Empress Makita Gordon, my last two guests. This one, very incredible individual. But yo, I want to go to the word real quick because what I'm about to read sort of aligns with the bulk of what we'll be conversing about today. Yo, I like what it says in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17, where it says, learn to do right, seek justice. I almost said justice. Justice. Seek justice. Seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. And then we are going to go into the book of Amos, chapter 5, verse 24 and then 25. But let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. Hold on, my bad. Verse 23. Away with the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the music of your harps. But now let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. Yes, justice. What does justice look like? Well, daggone. It just means, everybody collectively treating each other how they want to be treated, systematically and socially. Now, allow me to stop my babbling and get into our guest. But before I do, I want to shout out to Carlos Bigelow's Massey, Chocolate Goodness, which, I'm chocolate greatness, but gotta show some love. Chocolate goodness. Now, let's get into our guest, shall we? Now, I first met this young lady a few years ago, right? A few years ago. We were both at the Central Library downtown Greensboro, and I saw her spitting some real stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like when she's all calm and in regular mode, she's smiling. She has a sweet personality, but when she's in revolutionary mode, watch out. Now, this young lady was born in Reedsville. She lives in Greensboro. She earned her BS in journalism and mass communications at North Carolina A&T Aggie Pride. As a local leader, she serves on the Greensboro Criminal Advisory Commission as the chair of the NAACP Young Adult Committee and has organizing experience that runs the gamut from voter suppression to police reform. Yo, I think she should run for president. I really think she should run for president. Get Joe Biden's old cryptic behind the pad there and put her up in there. My opinion. Anywho, she works in the financial sector full-time while mothering 2 sons, y'all. By the way, this is a black woman I'm about to talk to, you know what I'm saying? Which, of course, she's superwoman. And she has recently earned her MBA from Fayetteville State University. Now, everybody say with me, Fayetteville. Fayetteville. Do you know how many people I talk to who just be saying Fayetteville? What the heck is Fayetteville? Fayetteville. She got her MBA from Fayetteville State University. And I will say this to everybody. When someone has earned their doctorate, their MBA, their anything, put some respect on their name. That's why you see so-and-so MBA. Anyway, last time I saw this young lady, we were downtown. We were marching. You know what I'm saying? We were marching. She came in. She got on the mic. And she spit some real stuff. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I was watching Angela Davis. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was watching Asata Shakur. You know what I'm saying? She got that revolutionary power seeping through her bones. Then next thing I know, she's looking at me, smiling, and says, "Hi, Adrian." I'm like, what? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to ADQ's Renaissance, Miss K. Brown, MBA. Hello, Kay.
Hey, boss, how you doing?
I'm blessed, black, and highly favored in these streets. How about yourself?
Same.
I like how you just call me boss. So what's going on with you, Kay?
Just being black in America. That's what I can say. Trying to do my best.
Being black in America. Are you being black in America from the cultural part or the traumatic part? Because a lot of times they intercede.
they're connected. It's a little both.
So you just got your MBA in business administration from Fayetteville State University. So what industry is your MBA in?
So I concentrated in project management, and what I do is now kind of like a movement manager of sorts, where now I have recently transitioned out of the financial sector, and what I look to do and what I try to do is to teach people how to like apply and organize and make strategic decisions on what they're doing with the resources that they have and all that other good stuff.
So basically, if I wanted to come out here and I wanted to change the game, you would be the person to go to if I wanted to like get behind the financial part of it.
Something like that. It could be, you want to put together a campaign on something, and you're like, you know what, where do I start with that? Like there's an issue going on. Where do I start? Like, what do I do with that? Or it could even be organizers that are like, hey, I'm running into this issue, this hurdle, this obstacle. Like, what are some things I can do to work to get past that? And I may sit down and do a little work with them.
So tell me this. I've had organizers on this particular platform before. I want to know, what does organizing look like from your standpoint? How does it work from your standpoint?
So organizing from my standpoint is a person that can get a collective of people together to move on an issue, a topic, work to change circumstances around something that's happening. And that's how I view an organizer, a person that can get people resources together, financial resources together, and whatever other kind of resources together to move an agenda, a thing, an issue forward.
What is the so now that you have pointed that out, what got you into organizing? Because we're here in the South. The Black woman, as beautiful, as wonderful as you all are, you're very much marginalized. That has been like a systemic structure within these patriarchal lens that has taken place forever. Therefore, when someone breaks out and starts bucking the system, they got a cape on and they are doing something that's outside the norm. So I want to know, how did a young lady from Reedsville, which I assume is a very conservative town,
something like that,
start saying, yo, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, I'm going to raise my voice against that? How did that start for you?
I'll say it's from a level of empathy and a level of selfishness. So the empathy comes in with, my mom had me at 16 years old, and seeing her and how hard she had to work to make it, do stuff, make it out of Reedsville, try to make sure I was taken care of. It was like, it shouldn't be this hard. You know what I'm saying? And looking at my family and hearing the stories about where I come from, people having to watch white babies. You know what I'm saying? People having to do something like sharecropping, people having to work long hours under not good conditions in factories. It's like, this shouldn't be how it is. For me, you just get that feeling that something ain't right. And you know what? I don't have to take it. And as a mom myself, I got to the point where I was like, why is this shit so hard? Why are things set up to be so hard and difficult all the time? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do something about it. I got up. I found a meeting at the time. It was a BLM meeting in Raleigh, and I went to it. And then from there, I just stuck with it. It was some difficult pieces. There's some people who, maybe weren't, I'll say it's some toxic people in movement culture too. I'll put it like that. But at the end of the day, I had to realize that sometimes the thing that brings people to the space with a level of passion is the fact that they're trying to organize or do something about that trauma experience or that they saw that just don't sit with them and in their spirit. And I like to think of myself as a Christian person, though I'm flawed. Everybody got something with them. And one of the takeaways that I got, I can't speak for everybody because everybody, some of them be on some extra stuff. But for me, it was Jesus spent time not hanging out with the saints, but hanging out with who they would call the sinners. Like he went out and actually did the work, not the rhetoric, not the standing and talking about it and patting his forehead every Sunday and then to go home and eat some chicken and that's it. But like, no, actually being out among the people, seeing what concerns they have, helping and guiding people and move them through things where it's possible. So I guess in myself, the thing was, if there's a thing, like if what I got is fight, I'm going to fight my hardest. If what I got is this education, then I'm going to apply it, to go the hardest and the furthest that I can. If it's a thing that I know and I think my people would benefit from it, I'm like, everybody should have that. So now I'm not in the same space that I was in when I first got into organizing work. But the thing that brought me here originally was the fact that for me, I feel like my life was so hard. and looking around me, a lot of other people's lives were hard. And in ways where I'm like, it doesn't have to be. And I wanted to go out and work with people to show like, it shouldn't have to be. So that brought me in the movements.
One of my most favorite scriptures is Luke. I think it's like Luke chapter 11, verses 37 through 54. Jesus is calling out the religious leaders. He is saying, you give these I'm paraphrasing. You give these religious rules that are so hard, but but you don't do anything insulting the burden. A lot of governmental officials are religious in their own selves, but they're religious to the point where I'm going to go to church on Sunday. I'm probably going to quote a couple scriptures, but we don't do anything that actually spells out the word. You know what I'm saying? And if they did, then I would not be tripping over homeless people when I'm walking downtown. Yeah. So I greatly applaud that because you're from Reedsville. I'm from Shelby. We're both from two very small towns that are very steeped in tradition. You're talking about how the women before you had to work for white people. My grandmother had told me stories about her working for white people, and something that I've noticed with our elders is a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. They just accept things for how they are. No matter how draconian they are, they just accept things for how they are. But I feel like our generation, I think I'm like, 5 years older than you are? I don't know. I lost my train of thought when you started smiling. I'll say our generation. We are the generation that's like, and yeah, that's BS. Let's change some things.
Yeah.
So tell the people about Guilford for All. Casey Marie was on here a few months ago. That was a few months ago. Please refresh our memory. What is Guilford for All and how does Guilford for All work?
So Guilford for All is, for the most part, an advocacy-based organization. We do some things around elections work and things like that as well. But it's basically a place where people can come. It's a multiracial organization where people can come and basically work to make Guilford County a better place for all of us and not just the 5% of us.
So we don't want to make Guilford County better for someone who's part of the 5% of faith.
Nah, we're talking about the 5% of income, status, money.
Oh. I knew that. I was being stupid. I got you. So tell me this.
Yeah.
I've had moments where I would see how things work systemically, and I would just throw my hands up, be like, why even bother? You know what I'm saying? Do you ever have those moments?
I have had those moments. And that was actually one of the things that challenged me to go back to school to work on that MBA was any system that was built can be broken.
Mm.
And I want my people to know and understand any system that was built can be broken. That system was built on your backs. So we're going to have to stand up and knock it over. Now, is there some strategy that goes with that? Yes. Is there some, reaching across the aisle or racial lines or whatever that occasionally has to happen with that? Sure. But at the end of the day, a system that's built on your back, you can stand up and topple.
So when you say reach across the aisle, does that mean blacks reach the whites or Democrats reach the Republicans or liberals?
It could. I know some crappy Republicans, and I know some even shittier Democrats. Okay? That's how I put it. Both of them have been toxic for us and toxic for us in different ways. But on a certain level, I'd rather know my enemy, have outlined that this is the person that I know will come to harm me, rather than to have my enemy standing behind me and put the knife in my back and I don't know. And oftentimes, that is how the Democratic Party shows up, specifically for Black people. And it is on our backs in many places that they are getting elected.
Okay, so I am processing what you just said, what you, a Black woman, just said about the Democratic Party. Snap my fingers because I freaking agree with you. Thank you. Okay, so I was once directing this play, right? Just roll with me because I'm going somewhere with this. I was once directing this play, right? I believe in biting my tongue in certain spaces because if I'm directing a play, I am in the theater and I am serving as director. It's not a political space. But some white woman looked at me and said, Adrian, you're Black. You're supposed to be a Democrat. I was about to say, this mother, I'm chewing a hole in my tongue.
I can give you.
Okay, for all Black people who are who may see or hear this, you don't have to be a Democrat. Yo,
you have to. They should earn your vote, just like they go out to earn everybody else's vote. Your vote is not to be trampled on, assumed. I'm going to be honest. If one of the main things I voted on for Joe Biden wasn't just to get rid of Trump, it's like I think that people shouldn't, especially in our generation, shouldn't be sitting under a mountain of student loan debt, right? That is a thing that would stimulate the economy disproportionately. I'm going to say the powers that be, which has been mostly, I'd say, baby boomers for the most part, because they've been the ones who've, seen us through some of these transitions, where the cost of college and cost of childcare has ballooned and skyrocketed. That makes it unattainable without loans. And so I'm like, all right, that we're past the point where you can just work at McDonald's, over the summer and come back and pay for your room and board all year. That's not the kind of society that we're living in. Yet at the same time, to get $15 an hour, $20 an hour, you got to have a degree. You got to have work experience. They want you to have all these other things for something that, to be honest, still has you on a poverty line. And you had to take out loans to get there. If he don't actually make some steps on student loans, I doubt that I'll vote for whoever the next Democrat is that they put up at the top of the ticket. Because at the end of the day, my vote is to be earned. It is not to be assumed. It is not like I don't owe the Democratic Party nothing.
The Democratic Party owes you.
The Democratic Party owes me. And every person I touch, especially Black people, I'm like, your vote should be to make them pay what they owe. So another thing with it, like on a national level, and then we can talk about local if you want to, because I do a lot of local work. But on a national level, when you look at it, it's like, oh, well, we got incremental changes. We got a little of this. We got a little of that. What we saw during the Trump administration is that if you really want it bad enough, you can push through whatever the hell it is you want to push through. It don't matter what it costs. So that means if you really want to show up for young people, if you really want to show up for Black people, you actually could. They just passed the bill for end discrimination for Asian Pacific Islanders.
Where?
I still got to argue that my Black life matter. So this is what I'm saying. I'm not with that. We picking model minorities over this, over that. I'm like, no, as a Black woman, as a Black voter, y'all are building this party on my back. You rely on us for volunteering. You rely on us for voting percentages. You rely on us for a lot of things. You rely on the Black woman specifically to do voter turnout to get to the Black woman. She'll make everybody in the house turn out to vote. And we know if they go turn out to vote, they disproportionately going to vote for us. So we want them out to vote. You know what I'm saying? When they go out and they passing out flyers and literature and stuff, it's a lot of Black women that are out there actually doing that work, pushing the party forward. And yet we don't see that fully reflected in leadership. And I'm talking about a Black woman from here, like can trace her roots back to daggone Jim Crow and slavery. We talking about a Black, typical, what we want to say, Black experience here in this country. I'm like, you're not going to keep building a party on my back and then dismissing my vote after the fact. You're not going to keep fast tracking some issues while you leave the issues that impact me and my family at the back of the bus, bottom of the ticket, or the whatever that you don't feel like is possible. So though I value other things, I value my other people and my allies, it wouldn't be as easy for this country to step over immigrants, Asians, Hispanic, Latinx folks, Africans, whatever. It would not be as easy for them to step over them if we actually create a benchmark of how you treated people historically that have been on the bottom, and that's African Americans here. So if people learn how to treat Black people, if people learn how to treat especially Black women with decency and respect as humans, as a culture in America, we wouldn't have half of the issues that we have. It wouldn't be okay and acceptable to lock babies up in cages at the border, because if we actually value Black people here, it wouldn't have been okay for them to set up things with the juvenile justice system. A precedent has been set that you can lock up babies, right? Because they've been locking up ours for a minute. You want to talk about things like hate crimes and stuff. If it wasn't okay for them to run through our communities, neighborhoods, and burn shit down, it wouldn't have been okay when Asians started getting beat, when Latinx people started getting beat, white women started getting beat. If people actually value my Black life, a lot of things in America would be better. But instead, we're supposed to continue to show up for parties that don't show up for us. And that is the thing where though I do work, right? I do elections work. Most of the time it's Democrats. I'm gonna keep it hot with you. I don't always vote straight ticket, because if you're a Democrat and you're raggedy, I'm not voting for you.
Well, see, I would like a couple points to that. Now we're cooking. So we're supposed to show up for candidates who write bills that incarcerate us at the highest numbers for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to vote for candidates who, while serving as an attorney general, locked us up in disproportionate numbers for nonviolent affairs. I am talking about y'all's president and vice president. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, and we're supposed to vote for candidates. We're supposed to show up for candidates who get on a well-renowned radio program and say, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. We're supposed to gloss over these things. You know, this is why. This is what. Okay, I'm an actor and playwright. I'm an entertainer, so I'm not involved in the political process nearly as much as you are. But if it were me, this is what I would do. You want to know what I would do if I were you? I would get with some really strong. I would get some really strong allies, predominantly Black allies, and start talking about running someone on an independent ticket. Because the Democratic Party, historically, correct me if I'm wrong, but historically the Democratic Party has been responsible for slavery. So they have blood on their hands that go way back. Republicans, I'm with them on some things, on other things I'm not with them. So that's the way I look. That's the way I look at it. How possible do you think it is, as someone who approaches this from a business standpoint, for us to come together and present and fully fund an independent candidate?
I'm going to be honest. I voted for Bernie Sanders.
Okay, so one second. Well, let me say this. If I sound like a Democrat, if I look like a Democrat and stuff, I promise you on this Bible, I am not Democrat at all. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm unaffiliated. I'm basically independent. I didn't even vote. Don't cuss me out. Don't stop looking at me like that, Kate. I didn't vote because I didn't see anybody who said, hey, I'm going to run this country in a good way. Shoot, if I would have voted, I probably would have voted for Kanye West or wrote Fahim Man or wrote in These Nuts.
Not Fahim and These Nuts.
Because I did not believe in any of them. I mean, between Trump and Biden, it was like choosing between Satan and the devil. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about Bernie, I vote for Bernie in the primaries myself. I know what drew me to Bernie. What drew you to Bernie?
So what drew me to Bernie was actually this piece where I used to think that Bernie was too soft on race, right? I was like, you doing all this progressive stuff, but you ain't talking enough about, what that means for Black people. But
right.
When I actually went back and researched and unpacked some of the things that he had mentioned, he was like, well, some Democrats will come up and tell you, just do reparations. They'll toss you a check for a couple $1,000s and say, all right, we made amends for all that harm that has been done and will be done to you. And that's actually not how it should be. There are things that are systematically built in here that need to be fully dismantled for the sake of all of us, especially for the sake of Black folks. And that knowledge of, if we actually treated Black people with respect and decency, most of the other issues that we're dealing with, we wouldn't actually be dealing with. So it was some of his solutions as a person who was studying business and interested in this and interested in that. It was like some people are like, oh, that's too far-fetched. That's too this, that's too that. And it's like, actually, no. The system as it is right now is going to eventually crumble. We're patching it up right now. But it's not built on a solid foundation. It's built on racism. And if you pull the cloak, or if you pull the foundation and the roots of racism out of our systems, the whole thing eventually is going to topple anyway. So I'm like, so we have to be innovative with how we solve some of these problems and issues. Nobody should go into a certain amount of debt in order to go to school so that they can get a good job afterwards. Nobody should work 40 hours a daggone week and not even be able to make proper wages to take care of their family. Like, these are things that it's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, in a society that claimed to be Christian, that should not even be a thing, right? Because when you look I
mean, mind you, this society was calling themselves Christian when we were in chains. They taught the Bible in an oppressive way. Slaves, obey your masters, right? So when a society calls itself Christian and operates a certain way, that doesn't shock me at all.
And I'm honestly weary of anybody that sits too much on their faith outwardly without actually digging into what's happening in the world around them and actually doing real application. So if your solution to Black people is just pray about it and be good people, and you not going out there as an ally to say, nah, and while everybody else is doing that, y'all not going to be discriminated against them over here. We're not going to be okay with the treatment that you're giving to folks. Like, if you ain't ready to take that energy all the way, your religion is fake. Your faith is fake.
Marcus Garvey was a Christian. We see what he did. Nat Turner was a Christian. See what he did. Heck, I'll bring in local. Nelson Johnson, preacher. He was leading the church. I forgot the name of the church.
Faith Community
Yeah,
Church.
Yeah, he was leading that until a couple of years ago. He's been putting in work out on these streets. William Barber. So Christianity. That's why I read those two scriptures before we started, because Christianity at its root is the cause of which you and other organizers fight for. I mean, faith without works is dead. I mean,
correct.
You can sit here and be like, God changed things, God changed things, God changed things. Until you're blue in the face, ain't nothing going to change until you actually, nothing changes unless nothing changes. You got to get out there and actually do something. That's why when quote unquote conscious people say that praying doesn't work, I agree with them. I mean, yeah, praying does change things, but you got to actually put in the work.
Yes. And that's the piece that we don't always talk as much about. So that's even with, we talk about systems of oppression, redlining, things like that. I'm like, I get that we had a rhetoric around it, but the phrase that it'll get better without the actual work going in behind it, that falls on deaf ears with me. Like, so when I see something in the community and I'm like, yo, this look like trash. I look at my peers, right? I look at my neighbors. I'm looking at community like, y'all see this? Does it look like trash to you? It look like trash to me. So are we trying to pass on this trash to our kids? Or are we actually trying to do something about this thing? Let's break down what we can do and who we need to do it with, on or for. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be a certain level of energy that comes behind that. So I value my folks who like, yo, I'll be out there talking about homies about it all the time. I'm like, that's great. Now take your homies down to the damn city council meeting and you tell them what you're not going to tolerate in your community no more. You know what I'm saying? Like the works part is important. Not just the rhetoric, not just the talk, not just the kitchen table conversations. Though those are important. It's even more important to start connecting and to start acting and to start pushing and moving the things forward that make sense and would improve our communities. Like, really.
I want to eventually start talking about you, Kay, as a person. But I want to tell you this. When George Floyd was killed, first of all, Greensboro was turning up while I was in Gaffney visiting my mom. I was like, well, dang. How y'all going to wait till I'm out of town and start turning up? What the heck? I definitely would have been up in there. I would, but I would have saw people destroying property, you know, PTSD from my own dealings with police were hitting. I would have been like, all right, y'all have fun. I'm going home. So, but when that happened, I got sideswiped. Sorry. ADHD. Oh my gosh, she really yawning. I'm sorry.
It is, you know, I'm getting old now. You know, I just had a birthday. And one thing I've learned is that every year I go to bed like 15, 20 minutes earlier than what I did before.
I would just like to point out that I'm 35.
33.
I'll be 36 in September.
Just fresh 33. Yesterday.
Happy belated birthday.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I feel like a jackass now. I didn't wish you happy birthday. Bad me.
You fine. You all right. Just give me some grace, because you know, again, I'll say my bedtime.
All you want to.
You know, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like the kids get in bed at a certain time. We wake up at the crack of Jesus to go to school. You know, it's always we a moving household over here.
I feel you. I'm gonna be getting up at like the crack of Yahweh to exercise in the morning. That the crack of Yahweh for me is like 3:30, 4 o'clock. But what I was getting at,
don't start till about 6. You know what I'm saying? So
there you go. But by the way, you don't look 33. But well, what I was getting at is when the whole George Floyd thing went down, I said that we as a people need to hold our dollar, hold our votes. Start start spending our money only at Black-owned businesses, Black-owned food markets. You know, there's a Black-owned, if you look hard enough, there's a Black-owned business for everything, for every necessity here in Greensboro or in Winston-Salem, or maybe even at High Point. I also said hold your vote, because while I respect y'all, I respect for how y'all go over the city council racing, tell them, call them on their BS to their face, but I feel like something extreme has to take place for actual effective change to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's
where I'll challenge you. The extreme thing could be you. You know what I'm saying? The extreme thing can be you. The extreme thing can be your people going down there like, yo, and we not going to let up until this is done and until this is handled. Like, when we talk, like, for us, we expect that there has to be some big thing that has to occur to get changed. But I'm going to tell you, the other side, other people who will wish you harm, they don't wait for nothing. They wait for nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they fight goes on consistently all the time. Like, hate don't sleep. Like, hate just stews, right? So the thing that I challenge people on is that you don't have to wait for somebody else to strike an issue before you make that issue an issue. Like, just you being there makes that thing an issue. Because as you start to show up for that thing, other people will then look and say, you know what, dang, that is right. We actually do need to do something about that thing right there. And that, you know what I'm saying? And that's you. Like, you need your activists. Like, you might not be an organizer. You might be an activist. You might be a person that goes out there and say, look, this is what I see in my community. I see this every day and something needs to be done about it. I'm going to tell you, activists don't always organize. Activists are like, yo, do you see this thing that's happening? You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes it's organizers that come in and organize around that activist or around that issue, around that thing. But I just say, don't wait. That match is you.
I'm face palming right now because you're not the first organizer to call me an activist. I'm sick of it. I'm not. And I'm laughing because there's something inside me that wants to. Okay, I put it like this. Watching Judas and the Black Messiah kind of clarified this theory for me. All power is in the people. When the Black Panther said all power to the people, all power is in the people. The governmenting officials only have as much power as we allow them to have. If we all came together, and I look outside of the realm of my Pan-Africanism and go into everybody who is marginalized to some degree, if the people came together, sure, we can easily overthrow the government and have a list of demands and be like, yo, the people can run this. Am I sounding like a straight up anarchist right now?
Nah, that's how our democracy is supposed to work. It is the people that speak. And where we lose power is we assume that it's our elected officials who do it and who speak and who set the tone in the agenda. No, it's not them that do it. That's us that do it. They only can do what we allow them to do. Right? So that match that starts the fire, that thing could be you. That could be for example, the artist, right? And Billie Holiday, you know, she had her song.
Strange.
On drugs. You know what I'm saying? She might be on drugs. She might have some raggedy stuff in her personal life going on. She might have herself 2-3 husbands or whatnot. And a little boo on the side dude here and there, right? But at the same time, the match that started some of the fire of the conditions have to get better was that song. It can be through art. That's what I'm saying. Like, it can be through art. It don't have to be just activism in the street. It don't have to be like a whole, you know, we put a march and a protest together. Yeah, the match could be somebody who work in downtown in a financial building going, you know what? Me and the whole HR department is tired of the way that we do this hiring process because it's racist towards this group of people. That could be the match. You know, that could be the light and the spark. It don't have to be some outside agitator or force. It don't have to be trauma from watching our dead sons and fathers and stuff on the streets. That match can be us. That match can be your art. That match can be a lot of things. A lot of different things.
Okay, so let me present a couple of ADQ activities that I have done and tell me if this kind of like lines up with this ridiculous activist view that you and other orators have had of me. Okay. Number one, I used to work at this school, and as Black History Month was coming to an end, the teacher, who was this clueless white woman, couldn't think of any Black history figures or Black figures who have made history to have the kids write projects about. Me, I came out talking about Dr. Claude Anderson. I came out talking about Huey P. Newton. I mean, come on, Huey P. Newton in an elementary school? Booker T. Washington, Malcolm X, people like that. And I watched the boys and the little girls. It was like 10 boys in the class. I mean, it was 10 Black kids in the class, one Hispanic girl, one white girl. I watched these kids come to school, dressed like these individuals. There was a little boy dressed like Huey P. Newton that had a sign called "Power to the People," something like that. One little boy was quoting Booker T. Washington's biography, and you know, I just looked at that. I just pat myself on the back. I was like, "Good job, ADQ." Another thing, I wrote a poem. In it, I'm saying this. I'm saying sometimes I feel like my life sage as hell. My rage is felt. I've been this Christian since I was the age of 12. They want me caged in jail. Something like that. So there's that. Heck, you've seen it. I don't show up to every single march, but you know, every so often I'm in the building. When Fahim was running for county commissioner, I canvassed with him. I campaigned with him. So, do these activities put me in the realm of activist?
It could.
I don't think
that's also part of how you. That's also part of how you identify. Because I would also say that to be a good citizen on a certain level, you are like an activist. You know what I'm saying? Like, think of it like part of being a good citizen, just in general, is like how you show up for your community, how you showing up to the world. Same thing is for a good activist, right? That's how you showing up for your community, how you showing up in the world, like what it is that you're speaking on, what it is that, you know, you're trying to push, you're trying to bring light to. Are your words something that might move people to want to organize around this or around that? It can be one and the same, but it depends on how you identify with it. Because for years, I would say I still don't necessarily identify as an activist. And I've been doing organizing. I'll say I'm an organizer. I'm a mom. I'm a person that had concerns about what's going on. You know, it's like the activist thing is like, that's the label. Some people would say I'm an activist. Some people would say I'm an organizer. Some people would say, yo, you one of them political people who do this and who do that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm a concerned damn citizen. It's very active in what's going on in her community and what's around her, and wants to see stuff get better for her family. You don't have to take on additional fancy roles and all that other stuff if you don't want to. But at its core, it's like, I see this thing happening in my community. If it's a good thing, I want to see more of it, and I'm going to go out and do more of it. And if it's a bad thing, it's like, yeah, this ain't going to happen no more. I'm about to come out here with my people. We ain't doing this. You know, like, you don't have to give yourself the label to do the work. Some of the people who I know that do some of the best work, they don't label themselves anything. You don't see, you know, some of the strongest people in the movement do not pick up a microphone or a megaphone. They showed up. They did child care. They said, who baby need to be taken care of so y'all can go out here and do this? Who bought the stuff that you needed to go out there? If the kids got thirsty, like think of it like this. There were citizens that knew that them kids and babies was out there protesting in Greensboro, and they was tired and they were unprepared because they hadn't protested and organized and did all that before. Some of them were kids, they teenagers, right? Young. But at the same time, it's like, did anybody tell these babies they need to have some water because they're going to get tired and them stores not going to be open for them? Did anybody tell them, like you're going to get hungry out there? Did anybody say, hey, maybe you need to have a medic out there, somebody pass out? What happens if you get pepper sprayed? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when other people in the community came out to show up for them. Some people call them activists. Some people call them organizers. But at the end of the day, it's a group of concerned daggone citizens that knew that there was an issue that was going to come up or knew that something was going to be happening, and they want to act on it. And that's the thing. That's what we need, more people acting on things in a good way and not showing up in that, what do the kids call it? Karens? We don't need people showing up to be problematic Karens. The only Karens I like, if you're going to be acting like that, I'm gonna need you to call the mayor's office and say, you know what? I don't like the fact that, y'all do this in black neighborhoods, but you don't do this in mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need you to use that voice for something that actually helps to uplift people and not tear them down.
That's very deep and very dope. Now, I want to say that of all, in all 35 years of my life, I grew up a fan of Charlie Brown. In elementary school, I met this girl named LaDonna Brown. When I was a kid, I was a fan of Bobby Brown. I don't see how anybody could even be a fan of the Cleveland Browns. When I was in New York, I met the Browns. Both Cora and Leroy Brown, David and Tamela Mann.
Not the Cora.
But I am going to admit right here, of all Browns I've ever known, you are by far my favorite Brown.
Are you too kind?
What makes K? Because K, wow, I need to stop saying K that many times. Anywho, what makes you K? What makes you UK? Now I'm talking about countries. All right, take 3, go. K, what makes you you? What makes you tick? Like, there's a whole person who comes into Greensboro for all and does all of these things, but you're not doing that 24 hours a day. What is that makes you you? What makes you tick?
Yeah. So I could say, like a lot of women go, it's just my family, and I just wake up and live for my family. I'm gonna be honest, I love my family, and I wake up and live for me. I'm like, shoot, like I feel called to do certain stuff, so I show up and do it. Or if I feel like I want to rest, that's what I want to do. It's like some of it is just like the person you want to be and the thing that you want for yourself. I'm just like, hell, I'm just gonna go do it. And like, really, that is the thing about me that makes me me. It's like when you have predetermined, like, this is the person I want to be. This is the character I want to have. This is the level of integrity I'm trying to reach. And you set that standard for yourself. The only one that can compete with you is you. The one that stops you from doing that is you. So I'm one of those that people say you can't do it. And I'm like, that's fine. Sometimes people project onto you what their limitations are. And that's okay. And I still love you where you at. But that don't mean that I'm going to stop going where I'm going. And that's just how I roll on it. And some people love that. Some people hate that. But I'll say as a mom of 2 boys, I love my boys. Like a lot of the activism I do is like, yo, I don't want to pass down crap to my children. Like your children are also I hope this don't come back to bite me one day. But you know, my children are also a reflection of me. I'm gonna do the best I can by them. I'm gonna put all I can put into them. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't think it's fair for me to have all of the best parts of me or all of the parts of me that make me happy tied into what somebody else is going to do. Like there is a piece of that I can control, that I can do, that if I feel called to do something, I'm going to do it. If I feel like I can do something, you know, whatever, I'm going to go. If I feel like I shouldn't, then I'm not, you know, and sometimes I make mistakes, but it is what it is. But the thing that made me is hell, me.
Well, of course, your boys are going to be a reflection of you because they see you every day. They're taking notes. When they grow up, they're gonna be right. They're gonna have the type of love for you that Tupac had for his mom, that I have for my mom. And they both spent 9 long daggone months inside of you. So of course they're gonna have some K in their personality.
It's probably too much to know, but I also breastfed them. I say every once in a while when they acting too big for their britches, I remind them.
So now they got so now they got their milk. Now they got your milk flowing to their blood. So yeah, they are two little K's. Do their names start with K?
Nah.
Good, cause y'all anyway. Yeah.
Neither one of them. So nah. But I also have like a baby sister that I'm 33. I have a sister that's a teenager. She's just starting high school this upcoming school year. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And sometimes when I look at, you know, my faults and who I am and who I want to be, I think about who would I tell my sister she should be? What level of integrity would I look at her and say, this is the level of integrity you should have? You know what I'm saying? Or this is some career goals you can aspire to. Like, don't limit yourself on anything. You can go do anything and everything that you set your mind to. The same things that I would say to my baby sister for encouragement is the same stuff I want to have her see me do. So it's not just me lecturing her on what's possible. It's like, nah, I know this is possible. My sister with 2 kids went and got an MBA in a pandemic and was out in the streets protesting and worked a full-time job and paid for a good chunk of that MBA out her pocket. You know, so I it's like all the things that I would say to a young lady and what I want, you know, or not in what I want, but in what she can want in herself. I want to make sure that I'm reflecting and I'm following that same thing that I'm telling my baby sisters that they should be doing or that they could do. So if a man, you know, or if they choose to be with a man, because they may choose to be with whoever, but from your partner, from your person, from your peoples, like, don't let people treat you with a certain level of disrespect. Bet. So when my sisters are around me and they see me, they make sure, I make sure they ain't going to see nobody treat me with a certain level of disrespect. I'm not bringing somebody home that's going to hit me with a certain level of disrespect. You know, like I want to actually show people what's possible and not just tell them and lecture them.
Well, that is to be expected from you because at the end of the day, you're a black woman. Black women are the closest beings of all beings, are the closest to God. I'm like, yo, there's God and then there's black women. That's the way I view you all. And I'm not caking. I'm just saying. I'm just spitting facts. And so, y'all are like superheroes. Like you can talk about Thor, you can talk about Iron Man, you can talk about all them superheroes. Don't get no more powerful than the black woman. You at this particular juncture, you in particular, dang, man, I'm having these 35 moments. This is what happens when you turn 35. I'm just warning you. But so that has to be respected from you and from your sister. Now, if you happen to, for whatever reason, fall short of that, you don't beat yourself up. You know, that's why you chime into your ancestors, those who came before you.
Right.
And be like, okay, they did this, I can do this.
Yes. You're some of the biggest things I've learned about myself. Some of the things that when people say, what does it mean to be a strong Black woman? Why are Black women known for being so strong? Because it's like sometimes you go through so much, and it's through the going through it and making it out of it on the other side that shows you your strength, right? Like you would never know how strong you are if you were never tested on it. Like you would never know the level of obstacles you can overcome until you've overcame some. Right? So I just look at it like, and sometimes I fall from grace. You might hear something about me, be like, dang, Kay did that. She was raggedy for that. You know? And sometimes I might do something that's like out of pocket. And at the same time, it's like a learning moment, a growth moment, like you're never beyond getting checked on stuff. You do what you can do, you make amends for what it is that you've done, and you move forward as best that you can. If you get kicked down, it's difficult. If you can piece it back together, you piece it back together and keep moving.
There has been one time, I'm be honest with you, there has been one time when I didn't notice something from you that had me like, oh dang, come on, Kay, I know she better than that. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you when that time was, all right?
Mm-hmm.
When I realized how much of a Cardi B fan you are.
Yo, brother, if it's up, then it's stuck. I don't know what else to tell you.
I expected so much better from you. Just
hey.
You know, there's a Kids Bop version of WAP.
This is probably a bad time to say I also love Megan Thee Stallion.
You know what? You like what you like.
I like what I like. I like what I like. I like what I like. And sometimes people don't realize you can have an MBA and still like what you like.
Yes.
Like you can be educated and still, if that's your vernacular and what you want to use, that's what you're using. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Like my little sister can get in my car and Cardi B is gonna be thumping. And some people are like, well, why would you listen to that?
Why would you listen to?
Because I like it. And that's like really just it. And I'm like, yo, sometimes your taste of music doesn't reflect your level of intellect. That just reflects your taste in music. Like I know people that don't have good palates when it comes to food. Like their food is just like chicken fingers and hot dogs, and they grown adults. I'm like, hey, some of them actually like they smart, like they dope. They actually be pounding pavement on stuff. It's like everybody got their thing. We have to start recreating, what professionalism looks like, right? We got to start recreating what things are like based on our standards and not Caucasian standards. Not for her. I think it's not based on a man's standards of what a respectable woman should look like. Respectable women don't listen to certain kinds of hip hop. I'm like, you're not gonna tell me I'm not respectable. And if you beside me on a stoplight, it's up and it's stuck, and that's where we at.
Yo, I'm a whole teacher who has taught in the school system. I'm an educated Black dude who has taught in the school system, who enjoys going to classical music concerts, who's acted in numerous plays, who has locks. Oh shoot! By the way, how I look with locks?
You right? You set yourself up for that one.
See?
Oh, you had some brother.
Well, thank you. You're beautiful. But my point is, yo, nobody should make any prejudgments over anybody. People are what they are. I myself, like I said, I got lots. I've done lots of theater. I love Frasier. Oh my God, I sound bougie right now. I enjoy the TV show Frasier.
I also like Frasier. I love Frasier. I watched Everybody Loves Raymond, and I have listened to Mozart, Beethoven. Like, I have a whole classical music playlist, and there are a couple Taylor Swift songs that I absolutely like, and I also have a couple of honky tonk badonkadonks in my thing. But overall, though, okay, I still enjoy my Megan Thee Stallion, and I love Girls in the Hood.
I know I got a ratchet side somewhere. Sure,
I ain't heard it yet though, but I'm sure it's deep down in there somewhere.
I mean, I'm from Shelby, North Carolina. It's somewhere. Sheesh.
Somewhere.
So what?
I said it must be somewhere in there. See, I wear mine a little bit higher up, you know.
Okay, so I'm from the Lil Jon generation. Does Lil Jon kind of count?
I would say that might kind of count.
Maybe.
I mean, because you was to the windows, to the walls. So
I was at Disney World screaming. Till sweat dropped down my balls.
I'm surprised you didn't get put out back in the day, Pippin.
But yeah, people are what they are. I just like lyricism with my hip hop. Like, of course, when people talk about female rappers today, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, and Nicki Minaj is on top of their list. For me, I'm more so of a Rhapsody type guy. I enjoy Snow the Product, Jackie Hill Perry, dang, who else? Jean Grae.
I can give you Cash Doll. We Bossa Nova.
Huh?
Cash Doll.
Who?
You should look that up.
Cash
Doll. Cash Doll. So Cash Doll is a rapper, right? She from Detroit. She got that, you know, these for everybody, you know, that one. She got like she got a couple, okay? She got a couple. I won't even get into them because, you know, it's secular music. But like Cash Doll went back to Detroit and like wrote checks to students to go to community college to get trades for free. So when people talk about these rappers, they this, they that, like Megan Thee Stallion in school, I think she graduated or about to graduate from nursing. Like she got like sister going through getting educated, right? Cardi B took her money from being a stripper and worked her way up to being one of the top female artists in the daggone industry. That's straight hustling. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's straight money moves. Chick hired a publicist. Got a bag and fixed her teeth. Yo, sis was out here working.
I'm sorry, when I saw that Cardi B interview with Joe Biden and the Cardi B interview with Bernie Sanders, I was like, ugh. Oh, Lord, this is cringy.
Yeah, in some of it, I'm like, oh, you know, but at the same time, it's like, I don't go to Cardi B to get my political insight, right? No. I actually go, you know what? I don't expect Cardi B to be Angela Davis. I expect Cardi B to be Cardi B. Okay? Cardi B is Cardi B. That's her lane. That's where she at. Like, I expect Megan Thee Stallion to be Megan Thee Stallion. I do not expect her to be Ida B. Wells. Okay? I don't like, sometimes people talk to me about how they think I should act or be or whatever. Like, you should be like Michelle Obama. I'm like, I'm not Michelle Obama. I'm K. Daggone Brown. Yo.
God, you ain't Michelle Obama.
I'm not Michelle Obama. Like, stop putting, like, I get people who say stuff like, oh, North Carolina needs Stacey Abrams.
Oh, no, the hell we don't.
I'm like, what you talking about? We don't need a Stacey Abrams. We need a Kay Brown. We need a Casey Thomas. We need a Adrian Spinner. Like, it's all kinds of Black women who we have here that we need, that people have not paid attention to or value because they're looking for the packaging to look like Michelle Obama or Angela Davis or something else that I'm like, does not apply to us. We are not those people. Like, we are not those women. Like I tell people, I'm me.
You're you, and you're definitely going to go down. You're definitely going to go down in the history books.
And some of the history books, like in favorite song, Cardi B. And some kid in the classroom was like, exactly. Like, don't let other people's perception of you define who you are or what you can do. That's
Be
period.
you.
Period.
Because
God used murderers. He used prostitutes. He used sinners. He used, you know what I'm saying? He used who he used. He ain't just used priests. As a matter of fact, when you go back through and talk about the Bible, he spent half his time lecturing on how they weren't crap. How they weren't doing right by their people, right? Book of Romans, we talking about they focusing on candlesticks and they focusing on how they're going to be stunting up in the church and they ain't got no content to what they doing. They ain't actually out here serving the people because they in the church worried about how fancy it look. No.
Number one, did you really just say crap? You've already cussed. You may as well just say the real word.
I could have, but I was talking about the Bible, so I was trying to act better.
You was doing what?
So I was trying to make a Bible reference, so I had to.
Okay, understood. Number two, yeah. Jesus was out there calling the corrupt religious establishment on their BS.
And it's the church that killed them. It's the saints that killed them, not the sinners, right? So when I'm out here doing movement work, and then, this one, that one, they don't do this. I'm like, yo, my most impacted people, I have an understanding that everybody ain't there yet. But the ones that will stab a knife in my back is typically the ones who are already there that are speaking on behalf of the people, and they speaking on behalf of their pockets.
Well, if I ever saw someone, first of all, I want you to feel special because you're about to be part of history. I am about to come to terms with the fact that I have this thing called male privilege, which I was in denial of that for a very long time. But the more I realize how patriarchal this society is, I guess I do get some type of male privilege. But best believe, cops see me and you, I'm getting shot first. Anywho, if I ever saw someone come into with a knife, I would exercise my male privilege and fight them. Now, seeing as how confrontational you could be, you probably wouldn't need that, but I'm protective over my queens. I'm protective over y'all.
Yeah. I tell people, just because there is an intersection that you may hold a level of privilege in, right, doesn't mean that the other things that you go through as being a black man is any less valuable, right? Because I put it like this, I have an understanding that my brothers are getting hard by the police right now, right? I have an understanding. And at the same time, I also have an understanding that if I was to get in a domestic violence situation, I'm more likely to die by the hands of my black male partner. So when we talk about domestic violence, we talk about other things and how they impact me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got intersections to it. I've gone to meetings, right? Black male centered, especially ones that are tied to churches. And I asked some questions about how they were talking about MWBE, right? The minority women-owned businesses and how they divvy out contracts. So I'm sitting there, and all these black men are talking about how white men put the businesses in they white wife's name, and that's how they able to, bid on the contracts, and how the wealth is still staying in the white family, even though, more than half of the contracts now for MWBE going to white women. And you know what I asked them, brothers?
What's that?
I've heard y'all talk about white women. I've heard y'all talk about black men. As a black woman who knows mostly black and a lot of other black women that are disproportionately carrying the weight of the children in their household, I'm trying to figure out when y'all talked about what dollar is supposed to go to the black woman specifically too, not just y'all. They looked at me like they saw a daggone ghost. And I'm like, just because black men get money don't mean black women get money.
There's a lot of black women. There's a lot of black women now. Oh, shoot, my bad. I overextended my privilege. Please continue.
Nah, it's just like one of those things where, and part of that mindfulness that I wish more brothers would have is like, how does it feel, or like how would it feel to have literally people tie their oppression and how they feel oppressed to the fact that they're not allowed to oppress me and other people, right? Where some of them don't want liberation and equity for all of us. They want to be on the level of white men so that they can do the same levels of shit with the same level of immunity. I'm like, that ain't what the hell we fighting for. We fighting for equity, right? I want to be treated with value and respect. Like, how does it feel? So I had a black woman say this to me, and I can't remember what book this came from, but it was like, yes, we love and value our black men, and imagine how it felt being a second-class citizen in a second-class home. So, for example, think about how men, some men talk about how much they love their grandma, and their grandma did all this for their granddaddy, and man, their granddaddy feel like this, and he did this and that. And I was like, all right. So the understanding is that the black man had to go out and get beat up by the white man all day, right?
Right.
And then he come home and he want to feel like the king. But for the black women, especially the ones that were in my family, they weren't sitting at home as housewives and shit. They out working for white people too. They out getting abused by white women too. They out getting stepped on by people too. And then they got to come home and be second class and second hand to their man. Right? So imagine how it feels to go through all the same oppressions and bear babies, right? And you disproportionately taking care of the child rearing. And you are expected to be a second-class citizen in a second-class home. And nobody talks about what those experiences were like for our grandmothers. And so much so that if you say, as a young woman, I don't even want to do that with a man if he gonna do this and he gonna do that. I want equity. That means you a black woman with an attitude. That's why we date white women. Y'all don't know how to treat y'all men. Y'all don't know how to do this and that. And it's like, yo, I'm not bred to be your servant, fam. Like, I'm a person with hopes and dreams and stuff I want to do too. Like, I need uplifting and encouragement and support too. Like, don't nobody want to, you know what I'm saying, come in here and be your second hand all day. Don't nobody want to go out in the world and work and come home and be expected to pay half the bills and do all the child rearing for the kids and have to come in and wait on a man who come home and put, ain't nobody trying to do that shit in 2021. By the time I did all that, I could take the extra weight off my plate. Dude, if he don't act right. Like, that is the thing where some men ask, why aren't these young women like my grandma? Do you really know why, Adrian? Do you know why?
I know. I feel like I know why, but go ahead. Tell me why.
I'll make it easy for you. Because our grandmas told us not to.
Grandma told
you. Our grandmothers pulled us to the side at a very young age and say, don't do it.
Grandma told you to know your role and do what he says.
Nah, grandma ain't say that.
Oh, grandma didn't. My bad.
Nah, grandma ain't say that. Grandma said, baby girl, back when I was your age, I couldn't own no house. I had 4, 5 children. I had to be here and deal with certain stuff. I had to. Baby girl, you ain't got to do all that. You can go to college. You can get that job you want. You can go do all the things that some of our grandmas wish they could have done. They bred into their granddaughters, especially to go out, be strong, and go do it. And they said, don't you dare ever come home and let nobody treat you the way I've been treated up in here. So one of the reasons why these young women, especially these young women, are like, I don't have to put up with anything. I don't have to stay married to you and you having babies out here and you doing this on me, you doing that. I ain't got to stay for that. Our grandma told us not to. Our mothers told us not to. I'll raise you one more than that. My daddy told me not to. So now we wondering why these young women ain't doing the same stuff our grandmas used to do. All our lives we've been told that we ain't got to be second class no daggone more. They ain't got to come home and serve nobody that ain't worthy of that level of work of you. A person who not respecting you, caring for you, loving on you, you ain't got to put up with that. Think about it. Think about what you would teach your daughter. And would you teach your daughter in a way that would lend to her being like that in a household, like your grandma was? Could you sit back and watch your daughter be treated in ways that we know our grandmothers were treated?
So to answer that question, this will involve me getting on a soapbox. That may sound a little bit like I'm pandering. And I promise you, this is not pandering. This is actually who I am as an individual, as a person. So I don't have a daughter, but in working in the field that I have worked in, I have formed beautiful relationships with a lot of young ladies, not R. Kelly style, but there has been young ladies who have looked at me and treated me like an uncle or a dad. I have a niece, I have a little cousin, both of which love them to death. Whenever God makes it possible for me to procreate my own kids and stuff, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. They're not going to be treated like grandma. And I'm going to put it in them that they are a black woman. They're a black girl at the time, but they're a black woman. I'm going to put it in them that they are the first being to walk planet Earth. I'm going to make sure that they know that our people, the well-being of our people, is furthered along by them and their ancestors and all those around them who look just like them. I will put it in them they can do anything that they put their mind to. I'll put it in them. No boys until they're 80. Of course, I'll be joking. I'll put it in them that, well, I will tell them once they hit their teens, that's when we'll talk about boys. Or whomever they'll be interested in. Most little girls, their first love is their dad. So I'll make sure to be there for her every single second. Not only that, but here's the integral part. I'm gonna make sure that she sees how much daddy loves mommy. And mommy will come home to foot massages, back massages. I can't cook, but I'll try. Things like that. See, I believe in serving y'all because y'all already been through hell. And the fact that there's so many of us who materialize you all in songs and whatnot and other types of narratives is disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you heard that Lupe Fiasco song "Bitch Bad"?
Is that the one with he wanted the light skin? I heard one and I knew people were mad because he was talking about somebody being like light skinned or like the curves or the hair or something, and people got kind of pissed off. But I don't know that's that one because I could be mixing it up.
In the hook, he says, "Bitch bad, woman good, lady better, they misunderstood." And he explains in the song how toxic that word is to a woman and the treatment that goes along with it. And he did it to kind of like a trap sounding beat because you listen to a lot of the trap songs and that's the songs where men are calling women that word too and explaining all sorts of precarious type of treatment. So to answer your question, my daughter will grow up. She will not think that her poops. She will not think that her poop don't stink. But I'll make sure that she come up thinking very highly of herself and knowing that there is no limit to anything that she could do, that she wants to do.
which is basically, now some of us had grandmothers that were treated like that, and then others of us, we ain't had it. So, but the what you typically think of what women had to deal with and put up with in prior generations, we don't teach our daughters to deal with that no more. And it sounds like you would not be teaching your daughter to be treated any kind of way.
I'll be like, princess, from now until the day that I die, I don't care if I'm 90 and decrepit. Any man ever do you wrong, I'm effing them up on sight. Best believe. In fact, I will bring whatever man takes her to the prom or whatever man takes her to a date. I'll bring him into my man room or whatever and talk to him Godfather style. I'll be like,
yeah, you better have a nice conversation because I'm raising sons, and one of y'all with y'all little daughter come up and be then snap crazy on my son. I'm gonna be right there at your door, like
that boy. Those poor boys will have. Those poor girls will have nightmares. They'll be like, they'll spread around school to be like, oh, don't date them. They mama crazy.
Exactly. I was like, I know some of these dudes be going overboard about their daughters. I'm like, hold on now. Because one day that might be my son. Now, if he treating her with respect, you better not let me come around there and y'all not treat my babies any kind of way. Because that's how Black women show up. For they, you know what I'm saying?
And that's how I would show up for. That's how I would show up for my kids. If I had whether it's a daughter or a son. Now I wouldn't like terrorize. I wouldn't like terrorize. I was in the wife. I was in the wife after the little girl who my son is dating.
Oh.
But yeah, and it just all comes down to the golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated. Once we do that, what a world it would be. Just treat others how you want to be treated. So, Kay, as we start to wrap this up, what does the future look like for you?
Ooh, Black joy, work, travel, like that's what I'm hoping and praying that the future look like. But who knows? I'm gonna do my best to make that happen though. It ain't gonna be because I ain't work for it. So
Mark 9:23, one of my favorite scriptures. I think it's Mark 9:23. All things are possible to those who believe. Another one of my favorite scriptures, Revelation 3:8. It says, I know the things you do. I have opened the door for you that no man can close. For you have little strength, but you kept my word, and your faith didn't tarry. So I can tell that your faith doesn't tarry. You talking about you're a flawed individual. You don't look like a flawed individual, but if you are a flawed individual, guess what? You're in great company, because we all are.
Look, I tell people like, I don't have no pedestal. Like sometimes we think highly of some people, and we like to put them up there and have an extra high level of expectations. And I'm like, I may strive to try to be a saint, but I'm gonna be real. We all still sinners. I can strive for it. I ain't perfect. I can be humble about it though, but I ain't perfect.
You're not perfect, but you are made in a perfect image. That's not kicking either. That's biblical. That's biblical. So, what upcoming events that's associated with Guilford for All should all of us, activists, non-activists, just game changers, should be on the lookout for?
So I want to say it is, and my people gonna kill me because I didn't bring my calendar up here. But like June the 13th, it's a Saturday. We're having a member meeting, and it'll be out in the park. I'll be there on that day. And also anybody can hit me up through social media. I'm K Brown on Facebook, KGSO on Instagram, but we're also going to be doing some elections work. And if people want to get more involved with like learning more about politics, learning how, municipal elections work, learning about like the processes just in general and wanting to be a part of it or wanting to learn more or be trained up in how to do it and how to run it, should reach out to me and hit me up so we can get them on the path to success.
So I tell you what, I already know that I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be living here in Greensboro, but as long as I'm here, if Fahim is running for county commissioner, I will support him. I'll put the word out. Fahim's talking about running for county commissioner again during the midterms. I think it's like next year, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that he should be county commissioner. And whomever you all would give for all boost out to run for office, I will do my homework on the individual and I will make sure to put out the work for that individual as well. Fahim's running as a Democrat. I assume that y'all are mostly a Democratic organization.
We have mostly registered Democrats in our organization. Likely, though, we don't pull the statuses, the records of people or anything like that. It's just based on where we are in Guilford County. We have more registered Democrats that live here. When you're talking about like progressive issues, like access to care, affordable child care, like people should be making minimum $15 an hour. Typically those are things that I haven't found that Republicans here locally actually want to do. So, but we do some work with like independents or people who aren't affiliated. We also have quite a few folks who like ain't affiliated or nothing either. But again, if anybody wants to know more, learn more about it, I'm K Brown on Facebook. You can always hit me up. And Adrian, you froze on me a little bit. So I'm hoping you're gonna come back up live. I'm gonna have to plug a mixtape or something in here now that I guess I done took over the show. I don't have a mixtape stuff though. So I probably should have prepped that. Well, guess it's just me now. So I guess I'll go ahead and wrap it up. So my name is K Brown. I'm an organizer with Guilford for All. And I look forward to seeing y'all soon. All right.
And she bounced. I told her I was gonna come back. Anyway, so get involved. So if you have any faith in the electoral system or whatever, get involved. Guilford for All. Let's see. If you want to get involved in Guilford for All, let's see. Guilford, GUILFORD 4 all .org. Get involved, see what they're coming up with. As far as I go, thank you all for tuning in to ADQ's Renaissance. This is like the dopest podcast in the entire world. I am ADQ. Coming up next, we're gonna have Walls back. We miss Walls. Where has been my man Alan, the fourth Walls? We will have him back, and we're fighting to get Javetta Milton. We want Javetta. We want Javetta. I'm ADQ. Thank you all very much. Ashe, peace, assalamu alaikum, God bless. And I say adieu, adieu. Oh yeah. And one more thing. Tomorrow is Monday, okay? You all are probably about to go to bed in a little bit. Tomorrow's Monday. Tomorrow will be the best day ever if you decide it will be. All right? Cool? Capiche? Yo, go on my YouTube. Please subscribe. Hit me up, adq4christ@gmail.com. Dion Chocolate Guy 85 on Instagram. Adrian Dion Quarles on YouTube. Find me and subscribe, please. And Adrian Dion Quarles on Facebook. I'm ADQ. You all have a blessed evening. Peace. How do you end this mother? I'm about to cuss.